Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Like my mama used to say, if I'd have known this many people were going to show up, I would have baked y'all a cake. I noticed there's a lot of tangos out there, so I'm telling you, that's probably better than that cake. But anyway, thank you for being here today. This is a momentous occasion for us in that we wanted to take an opportunity on behalf of President Obama and Secretary Bill Sack to recognize the accomplishments of the Recovery Act, of the ARA. We call it ARA, American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. It was enacted in 2010 by Congress, and of course, the main thing was to put a special emphasis on more job creation and trying to bring the country into the 21st century in many regards. But we couldn't have done any of that we've done today because we're going to basically highlight all the accomplishments that Valley Telephone has done in regards to the Recovery Act and those investments that we made. Considerable investment, $78 million, $78.5 million, is that about right? 70.8? 76.5. A lot of money. But it also takes a bold partner to do that, and we're proud today to be able to recognize the accomplishments of Valley Telephone Company has done under the direction of Dave Osborne and the board of directors. But let me back up a little bit to 2009. When I first became your state director in Texas, I started traveling throughout the state. And as you all well know, we specialize in working in rural communities. And many times I was approached by not only young parents, but older folks and people in rural communities about, Mr. Valentin, why is it that I have to bring my child's work assignments with me to work so I can do their homework here on the computer? That was a powerful statement. And at that time, we knew that we were picking up on our broadband development. But even if I was in West Texas, for instance, I was in Eden or Menard, close to San Angelo, they would say, well, sir, why is it that I have to call somebody out of San Angelo to come fix my air conditioning or my plumbing, when I know doggone well we could have somebody that have to start their own business here in Eden Park, okay? And what I'm trying to get at is that with broadband development, it creates a whole new opportunity for a whole gambit of folks. It promotes public safety, improves interoperability within our police departments and fire departments. Actually, I've toured police departments and fire departments and sheriff's departments in the state where they all work together and have systems that are held together by baling wire. That's what I'm talking about. And this has done that. It's helped in that interoperability. It's created entrepreneurship, has the ability for somebody to start a business and be able to market their products. It helps agriculture in that our farmers and ranchers can not only obtain up-to-date weather information, but they can market their products globally, locally, statewide. And of course, it promotes distance learning in our schools, not only for our kids to be able to take virtual field trips that they do now, but we also have the opportunity for our teachers to get higher accreditation. Now we got kids graduating from high school with associate's, degrees for junior colleges. Who would have thunk it? So, it does a lot of things. And what about the medical aspect of it? Where you have a rural clinic or a rural hospital able to connect now to MD Anderson or the Mayo Clinic or Scott and White, you name it. So it has a whole spectrum of possibilities. From design to development equals economic development. And that's why we're here today. We're here to recognize not only Valley Telephone Company, but to recognize the whole service area that we have covered with this endeavor. It's pretty mind-boggling when you look at the service area, just south of San Antonio, all the way down to the valley, west to as far as, I guess, Papudias, and then east is Agua Dulce. I mean, it spans 4 congressional districts. That's awesome. That is awesome. But one thing that I want to do, and I want to make sure that we pay attention to today, we would not be celebrating this occasion if it wouldn't be for the money. The money. And I want to make sure that we recognize our Congressman Vela, Congressman Cuellar, Congressman Fosa, Congressman Farenthold, and our Senators Cruz and Cornyn, for pulling that lever when it comes time for the rural development appropriations. So let's give a hand to our representatives. Of course, our state government, the governor's office, and our state reps, you know, they're here today. Representative Longoria has, I think Tony's here today. I appreciate everything that our state reps and our governor's office does in that regard. Letty's here today. So this is a celebration about coming together as not only a state, but as communities coming together. You know, our politics have been very interesting in the last few years, but in the end, it's all about community. And that's what this is all about these investments. And the return on the investment is that we increase economic opportunities and improve the quality of life. That's why we're here. And that's why I want to turn it over to our general manager with Valley Telephone Cooperative, VTX1. And I think he's going to give us an overview of all the stuff that we've done, and we're going to move forward with. We've also just given Valley Telephone a rural economic development loan and grant obligation, where we're going to be making loans to small businesses for small business development. So that's another facet about how a telephone cooperative is really investing in their communities to create jobs and spur economic growth. So Dave, again, thank you for having us here. Our administrator, from my colleague from the Rural Housing Services here today. We're really excited about this opportunity, but most of all, we're more excited about you telling us, you know, what we've accomplished with this investment.
Okay. I'm not going to give the speech I wrote. I'm going to just tell you the story of what we've done. The cooperative, Valley Telephone, was founded in 1952 because the larger companies did not want to serve the rural areas. They ignored them, said it was too expensive, and a small group of folks said we really need to have telephone service on our ranches and farms. A lot of reasons: communication, safety. So Valley Telephone was formed in April of 1952 and began to build and grew and grew and grew, making a living off serving the people that nobody else wanted to serve. So the heart of this company has always been in lifting and building the rural areas and to bring them in touch with the urban areas and the populated areas to further commerce and to simply improve the quality of life. Fast forward to the mid-2000s. We were looking toward a future where the economics are shifting, and we've said we need to grow. We need to get bigger than we need, than we are today. We've got to continue with our mission, which is to reach and touch rural America. Yet, Valley Telephone, there's not enough people there, not enough business. We've got to go outside. So we formed another company, which is this VTX Telecom that you've seen and heard of. And they can operate anywhere other than in the Valley Telephone area, according to the state of Texas. So about the time that we were looking at this, the ARRA program, what we call the stimulus plan, was passed in Congress. And we got the applications, and a fellow named John Bradford, who has since retired, filled those out. He honchoed this application, and we had about 3 weeks to put this thing together. And I mean, all of us ate, slept, and breathed this thing for 3 weeks, packaged it off, sent it to Washington, never dreaming. That was in August of 2009. Never dreamed that on February the 17th, 2010, we would get a call saying that we'd been awarded our $78.618 million. We were stunned. And it's, like I said, about half, 51% loan, 49% grant. So we looked at it as a chance to do several different things, accomplish several goals. First of all, was to continue to serve rural America. Secondly, we were building the future of our company literally for 50 cents on the dollar. As that we thought that was a good deal. So we started out in the summer really of 2010. We started by buying property in 11 different cities that we overbuilt, Raymondville of course being one of them, and then began to build our equipment buildings and then to the city limits with fiber optic connections. And then we erected 8 towers to serve the outliers, because part of the deal was we had to be able to serve everyone in these exchanges with some sort of broadband service. So we have very, very good service with fiber. There is no better medium to connect people and to bring in video, voice services, internet, security services, which we're about to launch. We've got many different things that we can do for people. The wireless, 10 years ago, boy, the wireless was very, very pale compared to what you could do with the landline. Today, my gosh, the speeds that we get on the cellular service and the speeds that we're getting with our fixed wireless are far better than what we were getting on landlines 10 years ago. And the next generation of technology, we're already going to be in the gigabit range with wireless. And that stuns all of us. Our business is applied physics, so when you start thinking about radio spectrum and we get our engineers and they say, well, theoretically that's impossible. Well, then how are we doing it? And there's a lot of different technologies that mix together so that you can do 40 and 50 megabits using wireless service. The next generation is going to be 100. In fact, you can already get some 100 megabit wireless, and we're talking about getting gigabit service by the year 2020. It's amazing. When I got here 10 years ago, having a 1 meg circuit for internet was a big deal. Now, you don't have at least 20 or 30 megs, you're not cooking. We just rolled out gigabit service. Gigabit service is 1,000 megabits. We rolled that out around the first of the year in most of our exchanges where we have the newer equipment where we can offer the service. There's only a couple other companies in Texas that offer gigabit service, and you've got to go. The closest one is outside of San Antonio with another cooperative. And then you have some service in Austin, and that's pretty much it. So, we thought that this would be, again, continuing the mission to take the best service possible to these areas. Now, it's interesting to see, we talked about what does it do for a community. Up north, our exchanges go right through the Eagle Ford Shale area. Well, it's a little cool up there right now, but when it was hot and the people were moving down, I mean, every week we were getting calls from Halliburton, Anadarko, Schlumberger, Brown and Root, KBR, and all of the oilfield service companies saying, I don't know how they found this. Are you kidding? All they did was start looking around and asking us, where can we get good internet? And boom, they all ended up in our exchanges where we serve the fiber, both in Valley and in VTX Telecom. All of a sudden, those areas start growing and prospering. We have the service here in Raymondville. We've offered the gigabit service in Raymondville, and in fact, all the exchanges around here, Viper, Sebastian, and Santa Rosa, along with our Valley telephone exchanges, which are near here. So our mission has never wavered, and it's made possible with a very, very successful public and private sector partnership with USDA. Our first loans came from REA back in the 1950s and have continued with USDA throughout the 70s and 80s and 90s. And we still have 20-year commitments that go back to the 1990s with the USDA now, in addition to our new ones. So we've been friends and partners with these folks for a long time and could not have done what we've done without them. But we've added over 6,000 new fiber customers in these new 11 exchanges. We've added a little over 1,100 new wireless customers. I'm not talking cellular. This is fixed wireless where you put a dish on your roof and you shoot back to one of our towers in these new areas. Now, when you add that to Valley Telephone, which has a lot of fiber customers, we're now serving almost 15,000 customers with state-of-the-art technology in from San Antonio all the way down to the river in Valley. So we've done, I think, let me tell you what, You don't do that with one guy standing up here. You have 190 people with you. And you talk about job growth. The job growth that we've seen, the estimates from the experts say that this has created between 800 and 1,000 jobs, and that's not counting the Eagle Ford shale explosion. We've added probably 50 employees over the last 5 years because of the expansion. We now have offices in Germantown, George West. We're about to complete one in Valparaiso, which will be staffed. In other words, a walk-in business office. Now, when you try to find an AT&T rep or a Verizon rep, you can't find them with a search warrant around. But all you've got to do now is walk in our front door. We even have a drive-in in this building. We always wanted a drive-in. I grew our old headquarters, and we moved in here in December of 2012. So we're glad to be here. We're going to be here a long time. I think we've demonstrated our commitment to Raymondville with our property that we got here, and appreciate everything that we see. And our mission is to serve. It's telecommunication service at the beginning. We help where it's needed. We help with schools, with education. Our chief technology officer works with the STEM program in Lyford, and we certainly reach out. My wife does educational consulting with our school districts, and anything that we can do to make life better and health. That's what we do. That's our mission. And that's it. Thank you for the opportunity to host you. And if you have any questions, we can pick them up later outside of the meeting. Thank you.
As you can see, that's quite an accomplishment, and certainly we couldn't do it without our partners, and we call them strategic partners because they are. We don't like to say that it's just one agency leading the white horse at the front of the parade, but everybody riding on the float together. And I think that's the important part. And certainly that's a great thing that we're doing here with this project, and I'm sure that it's just like a kind of a first investment in many more investments to come. You know, if we're talking about investments, since I've been state director, I'd just like to tell you all that if it hadn't been for the congressional folks, you know, our senators and congressmen, and all the investments that they made for not only across the nation, but here in Texas, we're going to surpass $11 billion before I leave as your state director. So my goal was to do $10 billion. We've exceeded my goal, and certainly I'm going to be very proud of that when it comes time for me to pass the guide on to somebody else. But certainly, going back to broadband, our investments in Texas alone since 2009 have been $339 million. So throughout the state, so that's a wonderful investment. But you know, I'm proud to be here today with Tony Hernandez. He's not only a dear friend but a colleague. It's our rural housing service administrator. And the question comes, you know, why is Tony here? You know, why is not the RUS administrator here? Well, the RUS administrator could have been here just as easy as Tony could. But Tony also wants to kind of touch base with you on how it affects our housing programs, trying to go into the 21st century technology, and how we kind of, you know, when you're talking about infrastructure, you can't do one without the other. It's just like you can't develop a town without water and wastewater facilities. You start getting your electricity and all other drainage and so forth, paving. But technology is a big factor for us now, and we're calling the infrastructure of the 21st century. And certainly Tony knows about what we do. Tony has brought with us, since he's been our administrator, a wealth of knowledge. He worked for HUD in the past, and he's been very successful working out of Colorado. He's a native Coloradoan, but he always says he's really native Texan because a lot of them escaped from Texas. But I want to introduce to you a dear friend and colleague of mine who I admire very much, and I'm just proud that he's here with us to celebrate this occasion. Tony.
Thank you very much. Wow, this is a wonderful place to be. I'm so proud to be here, and I know there are 5 Tonys in this room today. If your name isn't Tony, it's okay. But Well, we are very proud to be here, and first of all, I want to recognize some USDA staff. We're very proud to have them here. So if you're USDA staff, would you please stand up so people can see your smiling face? Stand up, USDA staff. USDA staff. You know, a lot of people don't know a lot about USDA, but we're a community development agency. Our job is to build communities. It's not just the water and the sewer. It's not just the housing. It's not just electricity. We build communities. Matter of fact, everybody that works at USDA, including my boss, the secretary, and President Obama asked us to do these things. He says, help us build better communities. You do that with dollars, but you also do it with partnerships. How you change the world means sometimes you have to change how you look at the world. Well, rural America has always been harder to invest in. It's more risky to do, and there's more poverty in rural America. So our job is to work with our partners. And Dave, I want to thank you so much for your leadership here, you and your team. If you work for this great company, isn't this a nice logo? I love this logo. Come here, Dave, come here. You stand on this side, stand there. Point to your logo. This is going to be for our photo. I think it's a great, this is a ta-da moment. Look at that. Isn't that great? Look at the camera, Dave. Give him a round of applause. Isn't that something? You know? So we build communities. It's not just we build broadband. Broadband is important because in today's world, the way you turn the door or open the door to opportunity is through narrowing the digital divide. The way you do that is not just money, but it's creating opportunity for folks to touch the digital divide. And the way you do that is by investment and partnership. So I want to thank the state government because without them, I was a former state legislator for about 10 years. It's hard work to be a state legislator. My representative Tony, is Tony over here? There he is. He knows how hard it is to get a bill through the House or the Senate. And my congressional colleagues, thank you so much for your investment. This is a tough time in Congress all the time, trying to find places to us to work together. This is the best place to work together. We build communities together. And the way you do that, through this investment of 78.5 million and change, it's a lot of money. Now 11 communities that before didn't have access to the digital divide, these are poor folks that now don't have to go to the library just by themselves to get information. They can actually do it at their home. That's why we talk about home ownership. That's why we talk about housing. That's why we talk about electricity. All those things create communities, not just broadband, but broadband is the door that you open to change the world. We do that because that's the right thing to do. It's hard to do, and that's why we have great state directors like Paco. Paco, come here. I need a great photo with you here. Come here, Paco, just.
Do we want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, you stay on this side this time. Got to be something different. Point to Dave. Come here. Come here.
Dave, you get right here.
You stand right here. No, you stand behind the podium. This partnership's important. It only happens.
Dave Osborne sandwich.
Yeah, Dave Osborne. We're going to hook there and look up. Isn't that a nice photo? I love that photo. You know, with this investment, Valley Telephone is one of 254 projects USDA is invested across the country. It's important in Texas. Rich history in Texas of how trying to create opportunity for folks, and broadband is one way we create that opportunity. But now we have brought 260,000 rural households, 17,500 businesses, and 1,900 community facilities coming together through investments. Money is important, but partnership is more important. And what we've been able to do here is create a partnership to change people's lives. And that's what USDA does. We try to find ways. My mayor, I love my mayors. I tell you, without a mayor and the city manager, things don't happen. By the way, his name is Tony. Close enough. He wants to be Tony, I know. Our reporter's name is Tony. Where's my reporter? Here's Tony. We'll have to get a photo of you up here too, Tony. We'll have to get You know, I'm so excited to be here because we are changing people's lives through investments. And so the reason we're bringing them together, I get to come because I'm excited because as Paco indicated, as we build communities, it's not just investment in broadband, which is so important. It's how we connect to people, and broadband helps us do that by connecting to businesses, to schools, to hospitals, education. And we have a young lady who I did not meet until I got here, Gloria. Gloria, would you wave at your fans here? This is Gloria Santina Casas. Stand up, Gloria. Yeah. Her business is trying to find ways to help people get financial stability. One way to help do that is by capitalizing on broadband access to technology, creating the opportunities that wouldn't have been there any other way. Gloria, thank you for your commitment and passion to make that happen. And so we're very fortunate to be here. And on behalf of President Obama, let me tell you, this gentleman has led the country trying to find ways to improve people's lives in every state. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle, we're trying to make lives better for people. Every family counts. And USDA does three things very well, better than anybody else. We only do it in rural America, but we do three things with our partners. First thing, we give people hope they're going to have a better community they had before, because we're bringing skills, resources, and some dollars. Next thing, we give them a surprise. There's a federal agency that just focuses on rural America. That's USDA. My boss, Secretary Vilsack, loves rural America. Just like Obama loves rural America. And our congressional support with your dollars you help us invest demonstrates again your commitment to rural America. So we give hope, we give surprise, but the most important thing we do with our partners is to give people joy that they have a better place to live than they did before. And that's why USDA is the best community development agency in the federal government and the only agency that works only in rural America. So we're trying to get more home ownership. So as you build on this investment, we're trying to help people rent apartments. We do rental housing. We also do home ownership with lenders as well as directly. You can talk to PACO staff on both of those programs. And we also do community facilities. We help build libraries, schools, child care centers in rural America that wouldn't be there without it. But now that we have broadband access, it brings more and more jobs. It's not just the first jobs, it's the long-term jobs, and that's where Gloria comes into play. Long-term investment in this community will improve people's lives. So again, on behalf of President Obama, my boss, Secretary Vilsack, and all of our employees, I want to thank you very much for the partnership and the opportunity to add a little value to make our world a little better. Thank you very much for letting me be here.
Okay, well, we did get a chance. Jackie, would you stand up? And Roel, everybody knows Roel, but Jackie's our public. Jackie helped coordinate this with our Texas public information people, so they've done a marvelous job. And of course, the mayor, it's always a pleasure to be in your town. I always like coming to Raymondville because I get to see Yogi. Yogi is a special person. I always say Yogi's my bodyguard because when I stand next to him, I look like a little person, right? So, but anyway, moving on. I think it'd be befitting to give some of our congressional staff an opportunity to say a few words. I know that the congressmen are busy right now legislating. And some of them are working the districts and some of them are on the Hill. But we did want to have an opportunity to have maybe Cassie, are you here? Cassie, where are you? Cassandra Garcia with Senator Cruz's office. You want to say a few words?
Are you wearing your boots today?
Do you want to take a picture up here with a... You don't have to.
Show me your boots.
That's all I'm showing you. That's as far as I'm taking it. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassandra Garcia with Congressman Cruz, Senator Cruz's office.
Well, just want to say it's great to be here in Willacy County today, and I'm Cassandra with Senator Ted Cruz's office, and just want to say a couple words real quickly. On behalf of Senator Cruz and our office, we really thank the community, our state director, Paco Valentin, Tony for being here today, Dave Osborne for your leadership here, Mayor. This could not have been done without leadership. And so to me, Willacy County is a special place. We congratulate Valley Telephone Cooperative, who has expanded broadband connection to the school district as part of a project that's been brought fast internet hookups into the company service area. The American Recovery and Investment Act Broadband Initiative funded the program through a $40 million loan and a $38.5 million grant. So the program expanded highway high-speed broadband connections into Raymondville, Lyford, Sebastian, Santa Rosa, and other company service areas. So the company's broadband services improves internet connection, television, and telephone service in those areas and the quality of life with citizens. So again, congratulations. We are so excited on behalf of Senator Cruz and our office. This is just, we talk about 21st technology and connection and the job opportunities, economic development, companies that are going to be coming into this area, the job creation. It was just outstanding. So again, on behalf of the Senator, we just want to congratulate the community and Baco and Tony and Dave and everyone else. So thank you so much.
She looked at me, she said, Senator Cruz, not Congressman Cruz. But, and of course, I want to put in a plug for somebody that's always been a very staunch supporter of rural development, and that's Senator Cornyn with, and he is here today with us, saying thank you very much. You've always been there for us, all the time. And now I've got the pleasure of having Marisela Cortez, who's a district director for Congressman Filimon Vela from my hometown.
That's right.
So anyway, thank you, Marisela.
Of course, of course. Hi, and good morning to each and every one of you. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today, and I wanted to thank you for including me and Congressman Vela. Of course, he sends his regards, but he did get on a plane this morning back to D.C. And I just wanted to just say that this is a wonderful opportunity in seeing how the federal funding works for the people. And we can't forget also the dedication from the USDA Paco, always being there for us. You can't forget that. Of course, Mr. Osborne, Mr. Hernandez, thank you all for being here. But then you also can never, ever forget your city leaders, your community leaders, and Mayor Yogi. I see so many of you here in the room that play an integral part in everyday things that happen. And of course, this is a huge opportunity for this area. It becomes a project that will help improve the quality of life for South Texas. You know, Congressman Vela sits in the Agriculture Committee, and which has jurisdiction over USDA programs, including rural development. While the committee is in charge of oversight, it is always so nice to see how these programs particularly are rewarding, and to see the impact here in South Texas. So again, thank you all so much, and I know that this is definitely long and awaited, and I know that it's going to really improve the economic development in the area, and we've talked about it so much, Mayor, just this last week. So thank you all, and congratulations.
Thank you, Marisela. You keep changing the agenda on me here. It's like a moving target, huh? Okay, so we've got, let's see, are we ready for testimonials? I think so, right? Anybody else? Ready for testimonials, right? I think so, okay. Well, again, how we could not have a more befitting person to speak now, given the fact that we have the mayor of the city of Raymondville and how this project has impacted his community and will impact the community in the future. And I have the privilege of introducing to you the mayor of Raymondville, the Honorable Gilbert Gonzalez.
Good morning, everybody. My name is not Tony, okay? But I'm Gilbert Gonzalez. I welcome everybody into our community, and it's a pleasure having VTX be part and a big part of our community and to move our community forward. VTX's high fiber optic network has brought many advantages and opportunities to our rural underserved area by deploying community-wide fiber optic networks and are available for homes and businesses in our city regardless of income. Access to high fiber optic network is one of the most important investments that can be made in our rural areas. It has and will continue to enhance job creation through economic development, education, and provide much-needed access to social services. Fiber optic internet is unmatched for its speed, reliability, and capability to transfer considerable amount of information, and also picture quality. VTX's high-speed fiber internet evens the plain economic development. The city of Raymondville can compete with any major cities in the country when it comes to broadband speed. Because of this, doors will be open and business opportunities will become available. The city and the county are already working on an EDA planning grant with Petra Reina, thank you, and that will focus on the development of a technology park that will be the first of its kind in the Rio Grande Valley in order to attract the technology industry. This, of course, is obtainable because of PTX's fiber optic. Thank you. Besides high-speed, fiber optic has resistance to power surges, static, noise, which means minimal downtime. It is also more durable than copper. The fiber network, with its fast internet and fiber services, will also enhance educational efforts in our community. Students will now have access to the most advanced technology to assist them preparing for their future. In conclusion, we would like to thank the U.S. Department of Agriculture for its investment in our community and for giving us the opportunity to better the future for our citizens. I would also thank VTX for everything they do in our community and for allowing me to speak today. Again, thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, when I first became state director, it was one of the things that we talked about, that we felt that Willacy County had been kind of overlooked by USDA. And I think just in the last 6 years to 7 years, I think our investments in Willacy County are finally paying off, and you're seeing more and more interest in not only USDA, but other federal agencies and state agencies coming together. So it takes leadership to do that, and with you and our city manager here, Yogi, y'all have made some big strides, the Economic Development Corporation, everybody. I also want to recognize Julian Castro, Alvarez. With Rio Grande Partnership, right? Thank you for being here, Julian. Thank you. I don't know why I have Julian Castro on my mind, but anyway, we were talking about Julian Castro. Yeah. But it does take a partnership, and there's a lot of partners in this room. It really is, and it takes communities to come together to make things happen. And the mayor was talking about how this investment has created new opportunities for education. To us, that's a very important factor in this whole scheme of things. And certainly, we're very privileged and honored today to have our superintendent of schools of La Sara, Sara Alvarado, superintendent of La Sara ISD, to say a few words. Sara, por favor. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
I'm still in denial, but I'm going to have to put these on. I'm too young, I think, but no. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to be here today. Mayor Gonzalez, CEO Dave Osborne, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Valentin, the VTCI Board of Directors, and invited guests. It gives me great honor to speak on behalf of the students and the staff and the community of La Sara. La Sara is just, some of you know La Sara, but I'll just give you a little description of La Sara. It's a small rural community located in Willacy County. It's located about 25 miles north of the U.S.-Mexico border. Our population is about 1,000 people here in La Sara. Our community thrives on farming and ranching. Our school district has 459 students enrolled from pre-K through 12th grade. We have 107 high school students, and that's 9th through 12th grade. 80% of our 459 students are economically disadvantaged. We have, our rural community lies on a one stoplight with only 2 family-owned convenience stores. That'll kind of give you a little description in your mind of what La Sara looks like. A generation ago, a phone was a thing that was a wire plugged into a wall. And I laugh because I have an 18-year-old at A&M, and we were talking just a couple of weeks ago about telephone. I'm from San Isidro. I live in San Isidro, so I am a VTX proud co-op member. And the phone, I was kind of explaining to Hillary where the phone was at the house, and how I had a time limit, and how we had to hide. If we wanted to talk to a significant other when I was in high school, so mom and dad wouldn't hear. And at one time, we had party lines, and I remember that when I was younger. So a file went into a drawer. A tablet was something that you took when you had a headache. A text was a book that students carried around. And social media meant watching TV with your friends. The new normal has embraced a stunning variety of tools and connectedness. In schools, like everywhere else, these new tools and connections have offered extraordinary learning experiences and opportunities for our students and staff. Not only are schools equipped with new ways of functioning, but they have access to new information that can empower teachers, students, and families. For a small rural district, La Sara has continually been very progressive in the area of technology. At La Sara ISD, every one of our high school students has a laptop assigned to them. And every one of our middle school students has an iPad assigned to them for the entire year. And there's some pictures going on. You can see some of our staff and our students. We have 2 complete iPad carts for our elementary that they check out daily. Every classroom is equipped with an average of 3 desktops. Every teacher has a laptop. And our 2 of our school buses are equipped with Wi-Fi. We send students to Raymondville every day. At one time, we were with a partnership with TSTC. Right now, we have a partnership with A&M Kingsville. The professors come to Raymondville and to La Sara. I have one of our teachers is one of our professors for our biology class. So Raymondville students and La Sara students do this every day. So our students are on a bus. And so if they need to send email the professors, as we know how kids run late with assignments. So 2 of our buses are equipped with Wi-Fi, so students can have access to that. We also travel distances for basketball games, track meets. We travel as far as Bruni on a weekday. So I want our students to have access to the internet while they're traveling. About approximately 3 months ago, we realized that our network was extremely slow and our teachers were experiencing difficulties streaming educational videos that were being utilized during daily lessons and instruction. A lot of our curriculum now is online. A lot of the ancillary materials are online. Our CATE courses at the high school are online. We were having extreme difficulties. I have Mr. Vega, our technology coordinator that's there, that didn't even want to look at our FFA teacher because every time she approached him, he knew what she was going to tell him. And she, so right, she needed to because she's got to fight for her students, and her curriculum was online. Our finance and our student management system is completely online. We were not able to download, at times, our attendance reports, our budget codes, grades, federal information that we needed to download, employee payroll. It was extremely slow. We also had frequent problems with our communication, our email, and that stopped the communication between Texas Education Agency, and I don't like to hear from them, but we hear from them very often, quite often with important information, and our service center at Region 1. We quickly talked to Mr. Vega and we said, we've got to do something, what's going on? we realized that we don't have enough bandwidth to accommodate all our devices. We're working with 20 megabytes at La Sara ISD. We quickly contacted VTCI VTX1, who has always been willing to help our school district. They are a great partnership, and they're always approachable. And anytime we call, whether it's for that or E-rate or anything else, they're always there to help us. They assessed our dilemma, our concerns, and I'm happy to report that VTCI was able to upgrade our district to 1 gigabit. So that equals 100 megabytes. So at a pretty reasonable cost. So this is 980 megabytes more than what we were operating on. This upgrade was conducted during our winter break, and when our students and staff returned from the holidays, it was, wow, what just happened? So basically we went from the Flintstones to the Jetsons. That's how we talked. That's what when we were talking about this speech, I said that's what would happen. We went from the Flintstones to the Jetsons. As of January the 5th, it has been smooth sailing, faster broadband, allowing our district to function at a very fast operative mode. Students, teachers, and staff are now have unrestricted opportunities for the internet and are working at a much rapid pace. The atmosphere at our district has increased, and the upgrade has allowed for better climate and better morale. Teachers and staff have continually expressed how excited they are to be able to access any of the internet-based programs, and Coach Vega says he hasn't heard anything negative. You know, he says, they don't say much, but I haven't heard anything negative. I said, well, that usually means that things are running well. At this time, I want to thank Mr. Dave Osborne. He's a VTCI CEO for VTCI, and anytime I call him, he's always willing to listen to me, and I know he's got a big job. I want to thank our VTCI director from La Sara, Mr. Matthew Kiefer, who as well has always supported La Sara. We are so proud of our district, and we're so excited about the new enhancements with our new broadband. Thank you, VTCI.
That's powerful, very powerful.
Maricela, did you want to come up and say another few words?
I know. Say from here. I really quickly forgot to mention Roel Gomez because he is there for us every time we call him, and he will always get back to us. And so I'm sorry I didn't recognize him.
All right. Thank you. And of course, Adrian is here with Congressman Hinojosa's office. Congressman Hinojosa is also strong supporter of rural development, and also is the chair of the Rural Housing Caucus, Tony. So Congressman Hinojosa has been a strong advocate for us and so forth. But what a powerful statement, not only from the mayor, but from the school district on how this investment is going to impact our youth through education. You know, we're working very hard and working with other federal agencies. Matter of fact, Rural Development now is working with the Food and Nutrition Service to make sure that we partner up with our multifamily housing projects to provide summer meals for our kids out of our multifamily housing projects. You know, it's like the rural administrator told me, he said, we should have been talking years ago. Well, that was then, this is now, let's move forward with it. But in so many aspects, so many respects, we should be working together and trying to find more ways to help our youth. You know, I take it real personal when it comes to education, especially when we have hungry kids, and through no fault of their own, they go to school on an empty belly. Sometimes we talk out of both sides of our mouths. One side says, you know, these kids better grow up and become productive members of society, you know, but on the other side we're saying, well, we can't feed them. Well, I don't know about you, but if I don't have breakfast, I can't think straight. So you can imagine a kid that maybe their only good meal a day is one good meal, or maybe two good meals. That has a lot to do with behavioral issues and how they do in school. So I want to thank you for the testimonial. I mean, that was very strong, in my opinion. And Dave, I was kind of going like, wow, right? Yeah, it's amazing. I do want to recognize one person that is not here today that I think deserves recognition, and that's our general field representative for the RUS, Rural Utility Service, and that's Joe De Leon, who worked with Dave and his staff, with John Bradford, to do all the grunt work, to put this application together and get everything done in accordance with the regulations so we can make this big investment. But most of all, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for taking the time for being here today, because this is important. This is an important step in going in the right direction as far as how we promote and create jobs in this state and nationwide for that matter. It's been an honor to be here today, to have the administrator here with me today, Dave, all your folks, all the people out here that I met that work for Valley Telephone, all our partners here that work in trying to promote our programs. Petra's here today. You know, we can't do it anymore. You know, when I first started working for the federal government back in 1979, you know, I never had any idea in my mind that I was going to be working in rural economic and community development. I thought I was starting a career in production agriculture, but it changed dramatically. And I have no regrets whatsoever in the way it all evolved into. But back then we had over 500 plus employees in Texas, over 100 offices in Texas. We had more assets than we have now. And now we're down to 150 employees in Texas, 25 offices, you know, 10 areas. And still we administer over 40 plus, almost 50 programs now in rural development. We administer so many programs, I don't even know them all either. But the staff does, and that's the important part. But that's where you come in, our strategic partners, in helping make sure that we get those federal dollars out there with you, and working with our state agencies, our local agencies, private foundations, to get it done and to move forward and to create those jobs. In the final analysis, it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is that we create jobs and spur economic growth. Doesn't matter. We all have the same common goal. We might have different ways of thinking about getting there, but we all want to have one same common goal, and that equals into what? Community. And that's why this community is here today. So thank you all very, very much. If we have any questions, I think we'd be more than happy to try to answer some. But with that, I don't want the pan dulce to get stale. So anyway, thank you all. God bless you all. Tony, you want to have any? Okay, Dave, thank you very much. You've got an awesome organization here, and you're making some significant impacts in rural communities. So thank you for Valley Telephone.